All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Lebanon Utility Service Board for Wednesday, January 21st, 2026. Let the record show this meeting was properly advertised and there was a working and executive session prior. All board members are present tonight, Les, Bill Stoner, and Tim Hudson. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic.
All right, we'd like to offer public comment now at the end of our meeting, so we'll go ahead and do that if there is any comments from the public. Don't see any at the moment, so we'll offer that again at the end. First item tonight is the approval of our minutes from the January 7th, 2026 meeting. Everyone had a chance to review those items, and if so, I'd entertain a motion.
Move to approve the minutes from the January 7th meeting.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the minutes from January 7th, 2026 meeting. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next item tonight is an information item, and this is a treated water line to Eagle Creek project, and this will be Ed's going to open up here for us.
Yeah, I'll open up for us, and Bob Holden, we will make most of the presentation. So service board members and members of the public who are probably mostly online today, both here and in person. Today we're sharing an informational presentation that Lebanon Utilities and our partners from Citizen Energy presented to the Eagle Creek Park Foundation on January 8th. I think the presentation was helpful in explaining what we're planning and why we're planning it and how this work represents good environmental stewardship that benefits Eagle Creek. And if Bob, if you can pull up that first slide, I would say the agenda includes introductions, a brief review of the water cycle, our goals, and then the details of our approach. We'll pause at a few natural points for questions, and we'll also leave time at the end for Q&A. When we met with Eagle Creek, that conversation lasted about 2.5 hours. For those watching online, our goal today is to walk through the material in roughly 30 minutes and then open up for questions. Now we did introductions there, and you're already familiar with our team, but I do want to take a moment to more fully introduce Dr. Bob Holden, who will be leading the remainder of the presentation, mainly for the people that don't know him online. Dr. Holden has over 35 years of experience in the water and wastewater industry and has worked with Lebanon Utilities since 1998. He's been involved in planning, design, and construction inspection and administration of many other major projects over the years. He spends time teaching and mentoring engineering students, reflects both his depth of experience and his commitment to developing the next generation. Professionally, Dr. Holden serves as the Senior Vice President and Group Head for the wastewater group at Westler Engineering, where he oversees their whole department there. So with that, let me turn it over to Dr. Holden.
Thank you, Ed. As Ed said, this is the presentation that was given jointly by the Citizens Energy Group and Lebanon Utilities to the Eagle Creek Foundation. Just to begin, the concept of water recycling is not new, and that's what we're here to talk about tonight is water recycling. So there is no new water, right? Everywhere that it's coming from, either from a groundwater, surface water, et cetera, is being recycled as it's being used and returned back to the environment. In this case, Citizens is providing Lebanon 15 million gallons a day average daily flow of water, or 25 million gallons a day peak flow, into the community for use. As it's used, that is returned to the environment via the wastewater treatment plant, where it is treated water before it is brought back into the environment. And so this is a presentation of the water cycle. And what we're really going to focus on today is this portion of the water cycle, which is the water reclamation process, or the recycling of that water. The water cycle itself is protected in a couple different ways when we'll describe each of these today, and that is both via the industrial pretreatment programs that are in place by Lebanon Utilities, as well as the Lebanon Utilities wastewater treatment plant. Overall, what we're here to talk about is watershed thinking, okay? So we're bringing water from the White River watershed and bringing it into Lebanon, which is in the Sugar Creek watershed. What we're talking about is bringing that Sugar Creek, instead of returning that water solely to the Sugar Creek watershed, we're going to recycle it back into the White River watershed to return to its source of origin. Ultimately, the goal for this is to sustainably provide water for central Indiana, okay? Is to protect Eagle Creek and the watershed's water quality, protect the Eagle Creek reservoir water levels, and continue the relationship that Citizens has had for over 70 years in the operation of the Eagle Creek. The approach, the water that we're talking about today is treated water. It's governed by a strict MPDS permitting process that's implemented by IDEM. Water must be regularly monitored to confirm that it is both fit for human and ecological health, okay? So we're not impacting either. The returned water to its watershed of origin is an environmental best practice, and it's the solution to meet these watershed goals, okay? And so figure to the right is just a demonstration of how many different water reclamation facilities there are throughout the state of Indiana. I'd like to just make sure that we're talking apples and apples with some key definitions today. Drinking water. Water that's been disinfected to a drinking water standard. Wastewater. It's water either on a municipal or industrial use that has not been fully treated. It's been used and is being returned back to a treatment process. Clean water or treated water is water that's been fully treated through a publicly owned treatment works. An indirect discharge is an industrial discharge that is discharged to a POTW. In other words, it's not directly discharged to the environment. A direct discharge is a POTW that is returning water to the environment via a water body. And then the units that we talk about commonly are millions of gallons per day of wastewater flow or cubic feet per second. So when we talk about water in the environment or stream flows, we typically use cubic feet per second. When we talk about wastewater flows, we talk about millions of gallons per day. So I'm sure that you all are aware that the expansion for the Lebanon wastewater treatment plant is coming in 3 phases. Phase 1 is from 5 to 10 MGD, and it's due to be complete January 1st, 2027. Phase 2 is from 10 to 15 MGD, and it's due to be complete January 1st, 2028. And Phase 3 is 15 to 20 MGD, and it's scheduled for sometime in 2031. And these expansion increments meet the LEAP, or the water that's being supplied to Lebanon by Citizens. Treatment plant is being done with biological nutrient design. It's going to provide full tertiary treatment as well as ultraviolet disinfection for all waters, and some segment of those waters are going to be returned back to the White River watershed. When we talk about the watershed balance, what that really means and what we're depicting here is these are the watersheds or where the water ultimately goes. The difference between the Sugar Creek and the White River watershed, although they both return to the Wabash River, is that the Sugar Creek flows to the west and then to the Wabash, while the White River flows to the southwest through the southwestern portion of the state. What's critical to think here is that not only are we returning water back to Marion County, but we're returning water back to all the counties that are downstream of Marion County as well. And there are multiple drinking water and water uses of that water as we move downstream. So the watershed balance, or the reason that we're doing this, is there is a water supply and interlocal cooperation agreement between Citizens and Lebanon Utilities to try and maintain that water balance. And what's being considered is the average conveyance of 15 million gallons a day or a peak conveyance of 25 million gallons a day based on how much water Citizens is providing to Lebanon. From a Lebanon perspective, the wastewater treatment plant treated water conveyance will either go to Sugar Creek, which is the current location, or I'm sorry, Prairie Creek, which is the current location for discharge, or back into the upper White River watershed or via Eagle Creek, which is the proposed additional location for the effluent force main discharge. all of this water is regulated by the Clean Water Act from the EPA. When we considered where to discharge this water, we looked at the watershed, or the Upper White River watershed, immediately adjacent to Lebanon, to try to figure out where we could safely discharge this much water. From that, we reviewed 7 different potential locations based on routing, based on proximity to Lebanon. We reviewed the locations for both hydraulic capacity as well as water quality. And selection of the most suitable outfall locations was based on several different criteria, but primarily based on stream flow, because we want to make sure that we understand the implications for the stream as we return this much water. So in low flow conditions, we recognize that we will become the stream, and we certainly don't want to have flooding implications during high flows as well. So we don't want to impact people either on a low flow or a high flow condition. From these 7 potential locations, really only 2 were considered feasible. And then the recommended option was to flow south from Lebanon and discharge immediately upstream of Eagle Creek. The 7 different locations that we reviewed were as follows: Eagle Creek at Zionsville, Fishback Creek, which is immediately the most adjacent location, Knee Stitch, Mounts Run, Eagle Creek at 32 and 421, Fishback Creek at 865, and Eagle Creek directly in the reservoir. One of the things that is helpful to folks is to be able to try to picture a volumetric, what the volumetric flow looks like. 15 million gallons a day seems like a very large flow, okay? And 15 million gallons a day is 23 CFS. So when we look at what 15 million gallons a day looks like in the environment, this is a video that demonstrates what that flow looks like as it's being released into the environment. And this is from a citizen's facility that's discharging into the White River, okay? Just for context, you walk at about 3 feet per second. So if you take a standard door and you flow 15 MGD through a standard door, that flow would be moving at about 2 feet per second. Okay, so from a volumetric perspective, that just try to get an idea of what that looks like. So again, the video. When we look at the different stream statistics, the overall driving force that took us to the Eagle Creek Reservoir was the recognition that we were going to, in many cases, be the stream, which is not unique in a wastewater discharge situation, but generally, the upper limit, the flooding concern, was what really drove us down to Eagle Creek, and that many of the streams that are immediately proximate to Lebanon simply can't handle this much volume. And so that's why we had to go south to Eagle Creek. So when we look at the different statistical flow variations in the creek, you can see that the 23 CFS that we're proposing to discharge really at Eagle Creek, in Eagle Creek Reservoir into Eagle Creek, means that in a low flow condition, we will be a significant portion of the stream, but during high flows, we will only be a fraction of the stream. So when we look at this on a percentage basis and we look at the bottom line, you can see that generally we'll be about 44% of the stream during low flow conditions, but during flooding conditions, we're somewhere between 1 to 0.2% of the stream. So realistically, from a flooding perspective, there's very low risk there. From a project perspective, the schedule that we're on, we submitted a PER in January of last year. We're in the process of design. We have the survey done for potential routes, and we're evaluating those routes now. Right now, we're working on an anti-degradation demonstration that we'll describe here in just a little bit. But we're anticipating that we're ultimately trying to be in operation in January of 2029. So let's take a step back really quick. We've talked about the volumetric perspective. Let's talk about the protections for the water quality, okay? And we're going to start for treatment at the POTW, and then we'll move upstream and talk about industrial protections as well. Treatment is governed by what is called a National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permit, or an NPDES permit, okay? Ultimately, this permit is designed to ensure that the discharge does not hurt water quality or people's health. This is what this permit does, okay? The other important concept to remember is that everything that we do from a regulation and a wastewater perspective is at the end of pipe. So all the water quality criteria that we have to meet is directly measured at the end of pipe and doesn't have the advantage of a dilution. So it is directly what we contribute to the stream. And when we are the stream, that water quality has to be met at all times. There are two types of effluent limits that are given via an NPDES permit. There are what are called QBLs, which are water quality-based effluent limits, or there are technology-based effluent limits. In this case, the discharge will be governed by water quality-based effluent limits. And what these limits are designed to do are to protect aquatic toxicity and human health. They assess the total maximum daily load to a water body, or how much mass we're contributing to that water body. They're started with a waste load allocation, and as I said earlier, all of these apply at the end of the pipe, okay? Regardless of what type of effluent limit it is, whether it's a water quality-based effluent limit or a technology-based effluent limit, the most stringent effluent limits will always apply, and that's what will always be given to the utility. From a permitting perspective, where we are right now, we have written to IDEM and we have asked for a waste load allocation, which establishes preliminary effluent limits. So this is the first time that IDEM gives us the effluent limits, and we've done this in 2024, okay? So we've established, and we know what those limits will look like for the Eagle Creek discharge. In addition to establishing those limits, when IDEM issues the preliminary effluent limits, it will trigger an anti-degradation review, and we're going to determine what that is here in just a second. So that's our first step. The next step is the actual anti-degradation demonstration. In this case, we have to prove that the water quality will not be lowered to IDEM. As I said, we're in the process of submitting that right now. From that, or after that, we go through construction permitting, where we demonstrate to IDEM that we've met the standards and we have treatment in place that will meet the effluent limits. And then after that, there is an NPDES permit that is issued prior to initial operation of the facility. The degradation demonstration in this case is triggered by the potential for additional nutrients into the reservoir. And Indiana has a statewide anti-deg policy. This anti-deg policy is subject to review by the US EPA. US EPA requires this for Indiana, or for all states actually. But the anti-degradation policy is designed to protect high-quality waters of the state, protect aquatic and wildlife uses for the water body, protect existing uses, protect recreational uses, and also protect or prevent any physical modifications, largely temperature in this case. So one of the things that the anti-deg will do is when it is submitted to IDEM, there will be a great deal of public comment associated with this. It will be open for, there are mandated public presentations that will be required, and so there will be a great deal of public input as well. After we get through the anti-deg demonstration and at what protects the water going into Eagle Creek is enforcement, okay? So the NPDES permit is fully enforceable. And the NPDES permit requires that Lebanon Utilities sample the discharges daily and notify EPA as well as IDEM of all the results that are taken. So you have to demonstrate compliance with the discharge. It's important to note that these discharges aren't taken lightly. There are civil and criminal penalties associated with these discharges for noncompliance. And it allows both IDEM and EPA to step in and enforce these permits. So there is a great deal of oversight associated with these discharges. As far as compliance goes, I would pit Lebanon up with any plant in the state with respect to their compliance record. You all have the advantage of having a very well-run wastewater utility and well-operated wastewater utility. But let's switch gears and look at the industrial side, okay? So we've talked about how the discharge to Eagle Creek is protected via the MPDES permit. What protects Lebanon utilities from the additional industry that we're seeing grow in Lebanon? So there is a pretreatment program, okay? This applies to industrial and commercial discharges other than a sanitary discharge into the POTW. Straight pretreatment program has 3 objectives. Number 1, it prevents introduction of pollutants into a POTW that interfere with the operation of the wastewater plant. Second is it prevents the introduction of pollutants into a wastewater plant that will pass through without treatment. And the last is to provide opportunities to recycle and reclaim water. The Lebanon Utilities has what is referred to as a non-delegated pretreatment program. So you all have had this pretreatment program in place for quite some time. What a non-delegated program means is it means that Lebanon administers the program, okay? The IWP permits as well as the local industry. You all are responsible for records compliance, compliance inspection and independent sampling, and some degrees of enforcement of all the permits. The actual permitting authority is IDEM itself. So IDEM writes the permits, and they have additional levels of enforcement associated with these permits. The enforcement line generally is drawn that Lebanon Utilities can immediately cease discharges for noncompliance. So if there is a problem or a problem child utility, Lebanon Utilities personnel can step in and immediately cease discharge. Lebanon Utilities cannot terminate a permit. Lebanon Utility, because you did not write the permit, only IDEM can step in and write it or terminate a permit for noncompliance. Now, one of the interesting things is that IDEM can enforce noncompliance on both Lebanon Utilities and the industry. So there is a level of enforcement above and beyond the MPDES permit, and there is concern expressed, how are we going to protect the water that's being discharged to Eagle Creek? It's being protected by both the MPDES permit as well as the IWP permits that are issued. So an indirect discharge triggers an IWP permit from INDOT or from IDEM one of 2 ways. One, via categorical standard review, in which there are 58 different types of industries that automatically require MPDES permits. Drug manufacturing is an categorical standard that requires an IWP permit. The second is a significant industrial user review. So if a discharge is 25,000 gallons a day or more of processed wastewater, and this excludes, excuse me, sanitary, non-contact, or boiler blowdown wastewater, that discharge immediately gets an IWP permit. Second is if the wastewater contributes more than 5% of either the average dry weather hydraulic or organic loadings to a wastewater treatment plant, or third, has the reasonable potential, in the opinion of either Lebanon Utilities or IDEM, to adversely affect the wastewater treatment plant. So those are the 3 types. Discharge treatment limits are dictated by either technology-based effluent limits, which are categorical standards, or the Lebanon Utilities local sewer use ordinance, okay? And if there's a limit in both regulations, the more stringent of the 2 apply. So, in conclusion, the key takeaways that we've talked about. The sustainability of Eagle Creek and the Eagle Creek Reservoir is the highest priority for both citizens and Lebanon utilities. The watershed balance needs to be maintained. The reservoir level ranges will remain unchanged, and there won't be an impact on either to the ecology, the bird, fish, et cetera, including fish consumption, and there is no impact on the anticipated impact on the recreational use of the reservoir. With that, we also provided, there are open channels now for both citizens and Lebanon utilities for public input or requests for information, and they're provided as follows. So with that, I'm happy to entertain any questions.
All right, thank you, Bob. Questions for Bob on his?
I have one question, Bob. We're expanding our plant to a maximum capacity of 20 million gallons a day.
Mm-hmm.
And if I understand what you presented is that we will deliver from the wastewater treatment plant up to 25 million gallons per day?
Correct.
You explain to me the math difference there.
So the math that's the 20 million gallons a day is the 5 MGD of existing capacity for average daily flow and the 15 MGD of average daily flow capacity that's coming into Lebanon. The peak flow capacity is going to be met by the different peak flows, Aaron. So it's depending on how much water flows into Lebanon. Or in cases where it's less than that, it needs to be a fraction or an allocation based on the different water sources, who's putting what where.
Thank you, I think.
Okay, I had an additional comment.
I'll talk to you later to
Okay.
get that perfectly clear.
Oh, sorry to interrupt. I had an additional comment. I've talked to some media outlets, but one thing we're trying to emphasize is the word effluent is a scary word for people that isn't part of the public domain. And we've been trying to say treated water because often in the news reports they'll say wastewater. And that's why Bob spent so much time on that slide about definitions, because wastewater isn't treated water isn't what you flush down the toilet. It's actually, if you looked at that slide of the effluent coming from, or the treated water coming from Citizens Energy's plant, that was clean water. It was cleaner than what it was discharging to. And with that, I had one question. It's sort of actually, I just want, if John Leitner can come up for a minute, and he was part of our team at Eagle Creek, and we had a lot of questions about 100 MGD coming to Eagle Creek, and I thought I could just let him cover that for us so we can get it on the record.
Yeah, be happy to, Ed. So the 100 MGD was really more of a planning exercise, I believe, by the IEDC as they looked at a potential manufacturer coming in. I think it was a chip manufacturer that would have required that amount of water in the LEAP district. So that was kind of following a lead. They did some studies in the Lafayette area that ultimately that manufacturing lead went away, and kind of also with it went away the 100 MGD I guess, evaluation. And as they further looked at what was actually coming, which, we now have Project Domino, Project Matrix, the 25 MGD from Citizens was determined to be an adequate amount to help get LEAP going. And if more would be needed in the future, an additional water source would again need to be further evaluated. But as of this time, no one's looking for 100 MGD. The 25 MGD will be adequate for hopefully the next 15, 20 years.
Project Domino is Meta, correct?
Correct. And Project Matrix is the Eli Lilly Medicine Foundry.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, John. And I'll also cover that when we were at the meeting, there's a maximum of 15 million gallons a day that go to Eagle Creek. Even if there's rain, even if something happens, there's never going to be more going to Eagle Creek. They were afraid we would inundate them.
So my understanding, excuse me, is at a very, very basic level, and I understand that I am making it very basic, and it's probably more complex than this, but the whole goal is to replace, in my understanding, to Eagle Creek watershed or the White River watershed, what is coming to Lebanon initially from that same watershed?
That is
And-
exactly
And then on top of that, that the water that's going back into that watershed is going to be as good as or better than the quality of water that was taken. Okay, fair, thank you.
Kind of one important thing to note there is you use the correct term watershed. So not all 25 MGD coming from citizens is going to come from Eagle Creek. Actually, there will only be from the actual Eagle Creek Reservoir. There's actually only about 2 or 3 MGD that the plant that they have, the TW Moses plant, can be expanded. So about 2 to 3 MGD will come from the Eagle Creek Reservoir itself. Citizens actually has 10 different water treatment plants and multiple sources throughout their system. Their system's huge. It's over 200 MGD. So kind of as we look at it, one of the benefits that we've kind of come to understand from citizens will be in low flow times, as Bob talked about, Eagle Creek Reservoir will be able to kind of maintain levels better because, again, 2 to 3 will be coming out of Eagle Creek and we'll be supplying 15 to 20 MGD back into that one specific location. But source water for the 15 to 20 will be coming from throughout their system. So just a little bit clear, but what you said was exactly right. It's more about the watershed and returning it than any one particular source.
Yeah, I guess one other comment, I guess a question for the board is, we're supposed to know your audience, and the Eagle Creek Foundation has retired hydrologists and ecologists on their board, and this is a very technical presentation, and we were suited for a technical audience. We were actually working on making this a little less technical, but just want to see if there was too much detail for the board, or if you guys like this amount of detail, or just have any feedback on the level of detail on it.
Yeah, I like it personally. I think the more information you can put out there, the better, and people can ask questions that they have about that. So.
Good, that's valuable.
I like the level of detail.
Thank you
Thank you, Bob.
Thanks, Bob.
All right, we'll move to our next action item, which is the Govinda subscription renewal. I think Ed's handling that as well.
Yes, sir. Govinda is for the public. It's an automated platform we use, so we don't have to spend a lot of money making paper copies of board books, and we can communicate almost instantaneously with the board. We've had it in place for 6 or 7 years, and it seems to be working very well for everyone, and it's just the annual renewal.
Also has good document storage capacity.
Excellent point. It has good document storage and features that we probably could expand on we haven't even used yet. So it's a good product, and I would just recommend the board go forward with this renewal for us. Thanks.
All right, any questions on the Govinda renewal? If not, I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Govinda renewal for 2026.
Second?
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the Govinda renewal for 2026.
Let's see,
Oh, yes.
for an amount not to exceed,
Oh, sorry. Yep, we have a amount not to exceed $20,035.75. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, next item is the bandwidth circuit renewal. It's an action item as well, and Seth Bird is here to go over that for us. Hey, Seth.
Evening. Okay. Currently, the telecommunications department at the Lebanon Utilities has 2 IP bandwidth circuits that we use to provide internet for both the city and the utilities, along with the internet for our ISP customers via the iLines service. One of those 2 circuits, one is a primary and one's a redundant for backup. One of them is up for expiration on March 14th, 2026. It was a 36-month agreement. We would like to renew this circuit with Zayo Bandwidth for another 36 months. The renewal quote for the same service we're currently getting comes in at around $325 less per month than our current pricing. So it'd be a 36-month savings of $11,700. And the new agreement would go into effect at the end of our existing term. So it wouldn't replace our existing. It would just, when it expires, we'll go into that term. Failure to renew this circuit would convert it automatically into a month-to-month circuit with Zayo, which could be the same price, but would also give them the ability they could change the price at any time. We just lose any price guarantee protections by converting that into a month-to-month circuit. So telecommunications partner was requesting the board approve the renewal and upgrade the existing upgraded the existing internet bandwidth circuit for a period of 36 months with Zayo, and the renewal price is $22.50 per month. Any questions?
All right. Questions for Seth on this renewal?
I didn't know the price of anything ever went down, so I found that to be interesting.
Bandwidth actually usually does, once you got into an agreement. I mean, there's nothing they're putting in the ground new. Usually it does tend to either stay the same or go down a little bit. So that's one thing that still does kind of go down is usually internet bandwidth prices. Home internet prices go down, wholesale prices go down. So how long that continues, don't know, but we've been able to take advantage of it pretty much every renewal. It's always gone down.
All right, anything else? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the renewal and upgrade of the existing internet bandwidth circuit for a period of 36 months with Zayo for a not-to-exceed amount of $22.50 per month.
Second?
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron, to approve the renewal and upgrade of the existing internet bandwidth circuit for a period of 36 months with Zayo for a not-to-exceed amount of $2,250 per month. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, Seth.
Thank you.
All right, next item is a wholesale water supply land acquisition. Our legal counsel, Jeff Jacob, will address this for us.
Yes, Board. Thank you, Mr. Taylor. As we have discussed, we are seeking authorization to proceed with acquisition of parcel 1, and as we have detailed to the board. Questions?
Right, thanks, Jeff. As Jeff said, we have discussed this in great detail. If anyone have questions for Jeff, or if not, I'd entertain a motion.
See,
Go ahead.
I make an observation that this land acquisition is part of the IFA loan proceeds that Lebanon ratepayers will not be paying for this loan, for this land acquisition.
Thank you for that comment. Anything else? I would entertain a motion.
I move to authorize the general manager to proceed with the necessary land acquisition for the wholesale water project parcel 1.
I'll second. Got a motion and a second. Any other comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Looks like the next item is our water usage coordination memorandum of understanding, and I believe we'll be tabling that tonight. Is that correct?
Yes, please.
All right, so we'll need a motion to do so.
Yes, please.
I move to table the water usage coordination memorandum of understanding that will be subject to the subsequent eventual approval by the Common Council for the City of Lebanon.
Second.
Motion made by Aaron, seconded by Ann to table item 9, the water usage coordination memo of understanding. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next item is the Wessler Task Order number 13, on-call smoke testing. Ryan Ottinger's here tonight. Hey, Ryan.
Good evening. Yes, this is for the, as Neil said, the Wessler on-call smoke testing and inspections. This allows for On-call smoke testing and inspections as needed in the wastewater collections area. We do a lot of smoke testing when we are evaluating areas of the sewer that we would like to look at a lining project. Smoke testing basically puts in a safe smoke, and then any areas that are not connected correctly, or a flow that's coming, a line that's in, like a gutter or anything like that, a downspout that's put in, it will show that, and some easy corrections can be made. But also, if we have an area that has high results, then we know that could be part of our sewer lining program. And if not, then, we can move on to an area where we would have a bigger impact. This is an agreement we had in 2025. This is just updating that agreement, and when I say on call, it's on an hourly basis. So if we call them and ask them to come out for a day or two to do smoke testing, we are billed based on that. It's not a lump sum, whether they complete the work or not. It's on an hourly basis based on our needs throughout the year. And I can take any questions on that.
The smoke testing identify improper sump pump connections?
It can. The difficulty with that is if the smoke comes up in someone's basement, it's not going to be visible to the utilities. But it can. I mean, sometimes people will call us and say, "Hey, we have this going on," and we can help them identify that problem.
What the phone number is going to be on the door hangers?
So when we do smoke testing, we will provide multiple phone numbers. We'll provide Lebanon Utilities, just our general phone number. Then also our collection supervisor, Cameron Kearney's number will be on there. And then whomever's in the area for Wessler's whoever's in the immediate area, their number will be there also. So if somebody calls and has any concerns, we have somebody in the field that can take care of that, but also the utilities is notified.
Okay, so we have difficulty identifying all the improper sump pump connections, but if there's an improper gutter connection, that would be identified, right?
Potentially, yeah, because it's visible. You can see where that would, as it's connected, the smoke will come through that connection, and you can see that with the while you're out on the job site.
So when we get these smoke test results, and if it shows that a customer needs to adjust what they're doing, how do we encourage customers to do that?
So on the door hanger, it says, what the next steps are. And then we can go out, we'll meet with the customer in person and then help them evaluate if it's a simple, disconnect it from the buried gutter and just, put a longer downspout so it just runs into the yard, something simple like that. We can work with that. The results of this
When you say work with that,
we can.
Would the utility absorb the cost? Or?
No, that would be on the homeowner, but we can give them advice on something very simple to do to alleviate that, so we're not bearing the cost of treating that water. And they can either just disconnect it and let it run, or if they're worried that it's going to cause issues in the flower bed, they can just extend it with a $8 piece of that flexible stuff that they have at Menards. So very inexpensive ideas that we can give them. But the report is very detailed. The report, if there's any abnormalities in the system, it's got the address, it's got pictures, and so we can walk through that with the customer as we discover it.
And review with me again, please, how we go about selecting smoke testing locations.
So the sewer collections crew has multiple maps that they've been working on over the years of areas that they feel as I&I is at its highest, whether that is...
That's infiltration, I&I is infiltration and...
Inflow.
Okay.
And so based on that, then they will do camera work, they'll do some we'll do research on our own. And then once we determine an area that we would like to have smoke tested as a potential future lining project, then we'll have that smoke testing done ahead of time. And then we can do a further evaluation. Or if that smoke testing comes back and it's not, we do 3 different areas, we will rank those based on which has the most improper connections or has the most, it also shows if the the joints aren't lined up correctly and there's a gap in there where rainwater can get in there, it will show that too. So we will evaluate based on the severity, and then we prioritize the lining process based on that.
Can camera work identify an improper sump pump connection?
Hey, Brian, I would suggest you have Dr. Bob Holden here. Let him take some of the load here.
We have a representative, a very high-ranking representative from Wessler that can answer that for you.
Oh, and while Bob's walking up, I had another question. I had one system that was we needed to rehab it, and it was so much clay tile pipe. We actually had smoke coming up from the ground in a cross-country sewer main that we had to rehab. Have you seen that happen here?
It's very common to get smoke up through the ground. Aaron, if the camera's in the pipe and the sump pump is discharging, then you can tell that they have a sump pump that's discharging, but otherwise, it's a matter of timing.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just, we got I&I from pipe leakage and so forth, but we also has been demonstrated over the years that we have a significant number of improper sump pump connections, and I'm just trying to see to what extent the smoke testing can help with that. Thank you.
Right, thanks, Ryan. Any other questions, comments for Ryan on this? I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve Wessler Engineering to perform on-call smoke testing and inspections for an amount not to exceed $50,000.
Second. And an additional comment is that my impression is that our folks work very closely with Wessler on this project and have for several years and have a really good partnership. So that's important to us, and I just want to make note of that.
They are also very helpful in the field with answering customers' questions, concerns, anything like that. That crew is top-notch and is a great representative of Wessler, but also a partner of Lebanon Utilities.
I don't remember if I seconded or not second.
Right. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. Any other comments? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Aye. Sorry, I'm not opposed. I'm voting aye because we need 3 votes, so my vote is a yes. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is the Fire Station 213 reassessment MOU. Looks like Spencer's up for this item. Hey, Spence.
Good evening. As the board knows, we've kind of done quite a few of these reassessment agreements, pre-allocation agreements over the last couple months. This one in front of you is a reassessment agreement that would mean water usage within the 2025-2026 timeline. This is for the Fire Station 213, that is with the Lebanon Fire Department. The agreement, although the Lebanon Fire Department is the operator of this building, the agreement is with GM Development Companies. Essentially, we've done these agreements over the past where I just come up and ask for approval on this. Everything is standard. Two wastewater EDUs on this one and 4 water EDUs. Aaron, I can confirm, I double-checked the math, so we're good on the numbers. Outside of that, I just would ask that you approve this MOU.
All right, thanks, Spencer. Questions, comments for Spencer on this Fire Station 213 reassessment MOU? I'd entertain a motion.
I move to approve the Project Fire Station 213 Water Supply and Wastewater Capacity MOU Reassessment Agreement
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the Project Fire Station 213 Water Supply and Wastewater Capacity Reassessment Agreement, MOU. Any additional comments? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, thanks, Spencer. Okay, we jump to the claims, payrolls, and transfers dated January 21st, 2026. Everyone had a chance to review those items, and if so, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve the claims, payroll, and transfers dated January 21st, 2026 in the amount of $11,263,293.76 for claims and payroll and 0 for transfers.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron to approve the claims, payroll, and transfers dated January 21st, 2026. Any additional discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we jump to any other business. Anyone from the board have any business tonight? Ed, anything?
I should mention that Ryan Ottinger just made an update to our webpage where he's got information sections for the wastewater projects and the water projects, so you can check that out. And we're just trying to communicate with the public and be as transparent as possible. So, thanks.
Good stuff. Anything else? All right, we'll offer public comment again tonight. Don't think we have any. Next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, February 4th, 5 p.m. And if there's nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made by Ann, seconded by Aaron. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, we stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.